in the US, because of popularity, you can find places that will inject salmon sperm, but the general public doesn't necessarily know it's not FDA approved.
Everyone thinks the secret to great skin is more steps, more actives, more trend. But what happens when we look at skin through a different lens? From Chinese skincare innovation,
Collagen is huge in China. They really love injecting collagen 1.
to Korean ingredients, to the reality of seasonal skin changes. Today, I'm really fortunate to have Dr. Jenny Liu, a board-certified dermatologist known for her science-driven education across Instagram and RedNode. She practices in Bellevue, where she serves a large Chinese and East Asian community, and she educates millions across the globe. Let's take a deep dive into how education builds trust, what's happening in Asian cosmetic science, and how seasonal and cultural nuances shape the way people use skincare.
A lot of hyperpigmentation concerns coming from the Asian community. So you're kind of getting a little bit of everything with those benefits.
What is your skincare routine?
The backbone of my skincare that hasn't changed for probably 12 plus years, and you definitely don't need to be doing something just because everybody else is talking about it. It's more about doing things for you that make sense for your skin so you feel confident. Thank you so much for having me. Such an honor to be here and chat about all things skincare and more.
Yeah, I know. And we got to see each other in Shanghai this summer, which was really cool. Yeah,
we
were both
Asian
at
connections between you and I.
Yeah, I know. I know. We had to go across the world to actually meet up.
Right.
And you have an amazing podcast. So I've seen you on Instagram. I haven't taken a deep dive into RedNote, but I know that's a big platform for you as well.
Yeah, you should definitely go on it. I encourage everyone because it's just really fun to scroll through some of the content on there. There's quite a bit of, well, I got on there mostly initially for cooking. And that was almost 3 years ago. Actually, more than 3 years ago, I was postpartum looking for like authentic Chinese recipes. And then that was also when like social media for physicians was just like starting in China. And one of my friends, Harvard Jeff, he goes by, but he's actually a board certified dermatologist in the US, practiced in the US, but actually now been living in China for like 5+ years. Due to COVID, he ended up staying there. But I saw his content there, kind of very similar to, at that time, our Instagram content. And I was just really inspired. And so started just to repurpose my US content on Instagram with like captions or subtitles in Chinese, and then basically kind of went from there and kind of now have built this little community. So it's been really fun.
It's not a little community, it's pretty big.
That's
amazing.
I think it's interesting in China too, because it's like almost kind of back to where we were, like around COVID, where there is just a thirst for information and knowledge from the general public. And now, since I started, I've seen this explosion of dermatologists and other healthcare providers being on there. And obviously this platform kind of really exploded way back, when was it, when TikTok was about to be banned? And that's when I actually saw quite a bit of uptick in my followers. And now it's really nice because when I see people comment, you can see the location, and many of my followers who are commenting are not based in China. It's just a big platform from all Mandarin speaking audiences. And so a lot of them are based in the US, Australia, Malaysia. And so I think it's got a wider influence. And, obviously there's a lot of Chinese Mandarin speaking, basically people everywhere.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, you're really educating the globe, which is an amazing feat. And how did, your journey to this, education platform, where did it all start? Was it in residency or afterwards or?
Yeah, it was immediately post. Actually, now people don't know, but I've been on Instagram. That was my very first platform ever since 2016, like pretty much over almost 10 years. And I started because literally I graduated residency. My husband was still finishing residency. He's, at that time, he's an ENT surgeon, but we didn't have kids. We had a dog. And I was just actually put into being the medical director for this dermatology practice, and it was quasi-academic, and I joined with two other residency buddies. And so I did not have any interest in hospital administration, but just out of necessity. It was a very old practice at that time. And so I was just looking for like a creative outlet because I was very stressed from work. I wanted something different. And I've always enjoyed going on Instagram for like cooking and fashion, even back then. So I was like, well, I'll start one just to share my life as like a woman in medicine, dermatology, skincare. And then COVID happened. And that's when, many of us saw our channels like basically explode overnight. And that's also when brands recognized the importance of leveraging dermatologists' expertise and helping to partner, providing, whether it's talking about a product or, consulting or just behind the scenes, educating the people, the public.
Brands are really reaching out to dermatologists, right? Like it's all about like the partnerships with derms. It's not just about being dermatology tested, but really dermatology endorsed. And when you think of, I'm sure people approach you all the time. How do you approach a brand, or when they approach you, is it something that you really take a deep dive into research? I mean, you've seen tons of brands. So how do you differentiate?
Totally. Before, in the beginning, when I started taking on partnerships or collaborations, it was brands that I've been recommending for years. So like, like CeraVe, La Roche-Posay, SkinCeuticals was the first professional line that I brought into my practice when I first started building that cosmetic practice. And so it just seemed very natural. And actually when COVID hit, the very first thing I did was like actually going live with CeraVe and La Roche-Posay and just educating on their channel. So those are like no brainer because I already recommend those products to my patients, and I still do on a regular basis. I think the novelty comes in with a lot of the Korean brands because I may have dabbled in them, or maybe they're completely new to me. So with brands, whether it's Korean or just even from Europe, if I don't know the product, don't know the brand, I want more studies, I want more information, and I always have to use the products myself before agreeing to like talking about it or promoting it. So that's kind of and like, I'm sure like my other friends who are really popular on, like Lindsay or Mamina, like we've talked about this, like we get flooded with emails on a regular basis. And I would say majority of them, I don't respond or turn down is because we just don't know. And so I think and I've actually turned down very big, somewhat lucrative deals because the ask was just crazy and I did not feel comfortable endorsing, because at the end of the day, I think social media for me is fun. It brings in flexibility, but like my credibility and my professional, like that always comes first, because I don't need social media to make a living, right? I still practice as a dermatologist. Maybe most people don't think they just see me on Instagram all the time, but no, I still practice and I will never give that up either. So it's always like my professional, like the value added is the most important thing. I'm not like an influencer. I don't need Instagram to like support myself,
I think that's what everyone loves about you, is that you
Thank
do
you.
come across super authentic. You're not just hopping from brand to brand to brand. And there are a lot of influencers that do that. And I guess it shows in their feed. For you, exactly, you're a practicing dermatologist. That integrity really means a lot, which is great.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
kudos to you, because I'm sure you do get flooded.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about, in
Mhm.
Shanghai, we talked about all the stuff that we see. And, I go to Korea often for my skincare
Yeah.
line.
And by the
And,
way, like your skincare is amazing. I
oh,
have to put in a plug for that lactic essence. I love
yes,
lactic acid, and that one is so elegant. It's so hydrating, but so gentle. I just love it.
I use it
I
every
need to
day.
talk more about it on my Instagram stories. I don't. Yeah, I should.
Thank
I need
you.
to.
Well, speaking
Yeah.
of, I know people wanted me to ask you, what is your skincare routine? I know we're getting personal, but
Yeah, no. So, going back to, so I do love a gentle exfoliant. So like that one, the lactic essence. I don't use it regularly, and that's probably like the thing that if I remember, I'll do it. But like in the more of essence and serum, I think it makes it easy. But really my routine, what is always happening in my routine is, of course, vitamin C serum in the morning. And that I've been doing for like 12 plus years, of course, sunscreen. And then like I really been loving ever since like my mid 30s, incorporating like a peptide treatment at night, of course, like a topical retinoid, and then changing up my moisturizers depending on the season. And then, I do like to play around with fun things because, you and I probably get a lot of PR packages. And this is where I like to explore because, I can provide feedback for my followers or just because I'm so curious. And there are so many fun things now or like exciting new innovations, especially out of Asia. And that's kind of what I've been really exploring. But I would say kind of the backbone of my skincare that hasn't changed for like probably 12 plus years is, cleansing, vitamin C, moisturizer, sunscreen, and then at night, like a peptide or like a rejuvenating serum, and then the retinoid, and then moisturizer. And then a few times a week, I'll add in like an exfoliant. And if I'm like trying other products, that probably would be the one that I would skip because I actually do get pretty irritated and sensitive skin, especially with age now and changes of season.
I know. Yeah. My skin is like, New York is getting cold and my eczema like flares,
Yeah.
So I really have to like take it easy and every time like I get sent something, I always like just test it on my arm, do a little use test ahead of time.
That's
just
smart.
To make sure.
I mentioned that, I tell people that, but I actually don't do it myself. I should.
I know we always, we don't always follow our own advice. But
sure.
I have like told a lot of people that I always incorporate a retinoid into my body moisturizer as well because, I love doing total body retinoids, but it makes my eczema flare. Yeah.
Wait, so how do you have like a retinol or do you just put like tretinoin all over your body? The latter?
Yeah, I use the prescription strength and
oh wow.
a little bit goes a long way, as you know, but it's great for like KP and everything.
Well, if you ever formulate a body retinol, let me know.
I'll let you know.
I want to be the first one to try it. I'm sure it would be great. Yeah, I know. Like it's. I mean, I feel like there's been more brands coming up with like body care. Like the trends is like body care and scalp care is kind of like now become like skinification. I've seen more brands coming out with more just like all over like skincare. Yeah. Not just
focus. There's a lot of focus now on scalp health and just body health, body skin, which is interesting. I mean, people will never leave the bathroom really with all these steps.
Yeah. And it's like nice, but like it's like you said, it's not really like necessary. Like, you can just put tretinoin if you know what you're doing, right? On your body. But certainly it's just like for the average user maybe or the public, they may not be as familiar. And so that's where I think having those specific products are just easier and less irritating. Yeah.
Speaking of products, what are you most excited coming out of Asia? Because I know we talked about like all these like new ingredient. When I visit Seoul, there's so many new ingredients and ingredient stories.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you can kind of like teach me on Korean because like that's like your forte. But I'll say in China, because I've been now back to China twice within the past like 4 months and speaking with experts there and talking to dermatologists and plastic surgeons on what they use topically, but also injectable is collagen. Collagen is huge in China. And I don't know if that's the case in Korea, but there's ways of injectable as well as applied topically, even post-procedure. So collagen 1 and 3. Collagen 3 was a big, like recombinant collagen 3 was huge a few years back for basically like a skin booster. In fact, SkinCeuticals China had locally formulated a skin booster with collagen 3 that was only available in China and then formulated a collagen 3 serum that you can use either alone or post-procedure. And then a lot of post-procedure sheet mask and recovery creams are made with collagen 3. Now, what's interesting is this time around when I went back for aesthetic talk, speaking with the experts there, they really love injecting collagen 1. And what they love to do is it does provide some instant volumization, but what they do, it's almost like PRP in some ways or skin booster, but they really love the results they're getting with basically dark circles and under eye rejuvenation. And then
Nice.
also helping to basically boost collagen production. So it's kind of almost like this intermedium between like a biostimulatory filler, like kind of like hydroxyapatite in some ways, but also providing some instant skin hydrating benefits, and then long term you're getting kind of like natural collagen building. And then I heard coming down the pipeline there's a publication, but it supposedly also helps with melasma in the
Oh,
skin
wow.
booster method, like injected professionally. Yeah, it's really fascinating.
That's super interesting because we know
Yeah.
like collagen is obviously what our part of our dermal matrix. And, we
Hmm.
dermatologists have to agony study what is made,
Yeah.
what the basement membrane of the epidermis is made out of. And, it's interesting that the formulators are coming out with these ingredients that are just mimicking what's in this area of the skin.
Yeah.
So that's super interesting because you and I have both seen a lot of salmon sperm injections, and
Yeah.
now we're hearing reports on like granulomas or nodules from these
Yeah.
salmon sperm injections. And I even seen patients in New York who've gotten things done in Korea and coming back
Yeah.
with these little nodules from the
Yeah.
PDRN injection. So
Do you think it's because of like the product, or is it just one of the risks? Because it's so
yeah, it's
novel. Like we don't even have
yeah.
FDA approved products here.
That's what I try to tell my patients, that there's so many things coming out around the world. And the reason why we actually like the FDA approval process is because it
Yeah.
is super rigorous. It's definitely
Mm-hmm.
slower than what's going on around the world, but
Right.
it holds this bar of safety. And we want to make sure
Absolutely.
that we know what the risks and benefits are before we actually do them. So I actually do like the rigorous FDA approval
Yeah.
process here, though
Mm-hmm.
it is slower, because you
Mm-hmm.
know sometimes things get pushed out very quickly around the world, and then we sort of see the risks that come out
Mm-hmm.
from it. So it's important. I'm not one to just like try things willy-nilly, especially not on
Yeah.
on patients if we don't know a good number
Right.
of case studies done on it. So
Yeah, no, that's so important. I think, here in the US, because the popularity, you can definitely find places that will inject salmon sperm, but I think the
sure.
general public doesn't necessarily know it's not FDA approved. So with that, it's like, where are they getting the product from? Is it even like legit product, right? Because, we've all heard about Botox from Mexico and
Yeah.
it wasn't actually,
Yeah.
like those horror stories. So you just have to be really careful. And I feel like most dermatologists like you who are following these rules, they probably won't even offer salmon sperm just because it's not FDA. I mean, I certainly don't offer it in my practice, and I don't plan to until there is an FDA approved version. The only one I know of is Regeron does make one that is FDA approved, but applied topically after microneedling, after you break skin. But that is
Yeah.
not the injectable form. So I kind of toyed around with that idea because I do love microneedling and putting PRP afterwards. But yeah, there's no FDA approved salmon sperm like that's in the injectable form in the US. So that's a really
Yeah,
good
I mean,
point.
I think we'll see a whole host of like these newer ingredients that are sort of
Hmm.
bio identical to human,
Yeah, yeah,
nucleotides and such. And salmon sperm, the the it's not that far away from like human compatibility. That's
yeah,
hence why they used it and they
yeah.
inject it. But I still think we need more research
Or
into actually
yeah,
what it's
yeah,
doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, like just because is new, is it better? That's always my question. Yeah, for sure.
And
And
when
safe
when
too.
you're educating, when you're educating your community, do you think they like all this deep dive into the science, or
You
is it more
know,
superficial? Or
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I feel like, despite that I've been doing this for a long time, I still don't quite know the answer because I think it depends on sometimes the algorithm. But I'll tell you, when it comes to making like reels and videos, it's always the shorter, the more black and white, the better. Because that's how you make catchy content because people just don't have that attention span. But that is a problem that I have personally because, as a physician, I can't, like, medicine isn't black and white. Nothing's black and white. So for me to tell you, you use this and you're going to get better, I mean, that's kind of in many ways, like, that's not telling the truth, right? But you kind of, if you want good engagement with your videos, you kind of have to do that. So I like to provide options and like take a deeper dive. And so that's where I actually really love YouTube or sometimes even Red Note, because Red Note, I feel like is a way where like there isn't, I mean, I think the videos go like when there's more engagement when the content is good. I haven't heard, at least from with my knowledge on Red Note, is like if you make short videos, it will go viral and more likely to. But I love YouTube for that. And then maybe sharing it in IG stories better. But like, yes, I'm one that likes to personally take a deeper dive because I'm just, like I'm more of a nerd for information like that. And I think audiences do appreciate the explanation, but like in a real format, if you spent like 3 minutes, like like the audience are gone. Yeah.
I think
but there are some people who are like, I don't care, just tell me what to use, so you're gonna get like a whole smattering of just people. And so I know it's just, there's no right answer, I guess.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem or like hurdle that I had to get over, because I think we're so used to like giving all the risks and benefits of every procedure and everything that we consent patients to. So to give information and not give the whole story was really hard for me to wrap my brain around. It just didn't come naturally to me. Yeah. But
and I still struggle with it these days. To this day.
But like you said, the attention span is so short that to catch people, you really have to make it concise.
So one other way I found is like taking a deeper topic and just like splice them up and make multiple videos on like almost like a series, that for complicated things. But yeah.
Well, I love watching you, so I think you're doing it right.
Thank you.
If you had to say something that's trending or that's really been popular in your practice, because you're on the West Coast, so what would you say is really popular right now, especially now that we're changing seasons and such?
Oh, yeah. So changes of season, I think it's really important that we kind of change up our skincare, at least like the basics of it, especially if you live in an environment where it's like, got the 4 seasons, like we change our clothing, right? So that's why I always tell people. So nowadays a lot of people are coming in with more like dullness, dry skin, even like breaking out from dryness because they're not used to the sudden change. And on top of that, even like hair, like a lot of dandruff flares, right? And so common things I've been just telling people is like actually adding in an anti-dandruff shampoo prescribing for a lot of the more frequent dandruff flares I've been seeing, and then changing up their moisturizer to something that's a little bit more nourishing. Maybe consider changing out their cleanser. So if they're used to like one that really suds or foam, maybe a creamier one. And then this is where I actually like to incorporate more of like an exfoliating, gentle exfoliating acid. So like amlactin or something like for the body. And then for the face, obviously like a little more hydrating, like essence, like the lactic essence, or something that's like still going to help improve that dullness, but at the same time actually improve hydration and not just like tear open your skin barrier. And so those are things that I've actually been recommending more to my patients in clinic because of like the dry skin, ashy skin, dull looking skin. And then, of course, like maybe changing up their actives, like if they're using a tretinoin, if they can tolerate, by all means continue, but then maybe going down to a retinol, or just like starting off with retinol if they're interested in adding in like a topical retinoid and not off the bat going into prescription if they're super dry and sensitive.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like my skin, I feel like it knows when the weather changes because I really have to like, in the summertime, I'm always using my serum because it's like hot and humid in New York and like the serum dries nicely. But in the wintertime, I'm like using the night concentrate all over because it's so dry and I need like as much moisture as possible. And there's no amount of water that is going to help you.
Yeah, I know. Like you can drink all the water you need for your body, but you need to layer that hydration. And this is where I think like gentle acids, like either polyhydroxy or lactic acid is really nice because not only is it gentle to help improve dullness and turnover, but it actually, as you know, right, it improves that skin moisture barrier. So actually acts as a humectant too. So you're kind of, and also helps with hyperpigmentation, which, in Bellevue where I am, there's, like a lot of hyperpigmentation concerns coming from the Asian community. So you're kind of getting a little bit of everything with those benefits. Yeah. Or with those ingredients, the benefits, a little bit of everything benefit wise. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, hyperpigmentation is something like so many people struggle with, and they're not always sure like how to approach it. But I like
Yeah.
that idea of like the stepwise, gentle approach is really it's tried and true. We can always layer more things on, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, the ones that people will stick to is really helpful. That's why I use lactic acid in the solution, just because I think
Yeah.
it's such a powerhouse active.
Yeah, no, I love that's one of my favorite exfoliating acids because it's just so nice and gentle. Helps with, your moisture barrier, ceramides, but also improves pigment and dullness, and it's like suitable for all skin types. And just because like you don't have sensitive skin doesn't mean like you can't benefit from it. So yeah, that's a lovely product you got there. Is that your bestseller?
It's one of them. I use it. I mean, I use it every day, but like people really rave about it because the idea of
Yeah.
an essence, it's a little foreign in America, but
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Korea and in Asia, everyone's
Oh,
about
it's
these essences that
everywhere.
exfoliate but also hydrate and
Yeah.
moisturize.
Yeah.
And so this is like encapsulated in like shea butter, which is
Yeah.
really decadent. Yeah.
And I think that is why the texture is lovely, but it's not irritating, and that's
Yeah,
that's really nice
exactly.
to know. And like you said, Essence is like the core of Asian skincare. Like you will not find any brand of products, including like European or even L'Oreal ones. They more formulate essences. Like Eucerin has a radiant tone essence for the Chinese
Yeah.
market. Like essence is a huge part of Asian culture because it's like if you don't have an essence, you're like not doing skincare. And I can understand because you're adding in that layered hydration, but in a gentle way. And often they have ingredients like lactic acid or fermented that helps to not only soften your skin, improve the penetration of your other skincare products, but also improve like that dullness with the ingredients in it. And it's so gentle too, but hydrating. Yeah.
I also just love the word essence. It
I know
feels it feels
yeah.
luxurious.
It's yeah, very like elevated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah.
So,
Like that
I,
self-care.
I like to play a game with our guests. We're gonna call this one keep or cancel. I'm gonna say something, and you're gonna say if you would keep it or cancel it and why.
Okay.
You could be as brutally honest as possible.
Okay.
So we touched a little bit about this, but salmon sperm PDRN, keep or
I
cancel.
I want to say keep, but now that I'm like, hearing your, I think it's more like I want to keep, and we need more studies though. Caveat that with more studies, and like if you're gonna have it done, go to Korea.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer for this one, but collagen
Uh,
type 1 versus type 3, the
yeah,
obsession.
at collagen, I mean, I feel like now the trend is collagen type 1 and definitely keep. And I hope one day we have options here in the US.
Yeah, I feel like people are going to hear about this first here because,
hmm
it's coming, folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
PRP versus PRF.
Wait, can I keep both?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
just one? Or is that
No,
like
you can keep both. I do like
yeah.
both. I use them differently. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is one of like the tried and true one that is like it's the good old, like it's been around a long time, good evidence and works well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially speaking of seasonal changes, in the fall, a lot of my patients will say they feel that their hair sheds a little bit. And like PRP is a great like just way to kick
Great.
back the hair
Yeah.
growth cycle.
Yeah. And like kind of back to your point about granulomas, like this is patient's own blood. Like
Yeah.
if anything, people who are freaked out by using something like foreign, I mean, it's your own blood. And so it's like 100%, I mean, safe in the sense of when it's processed right and stuff, but it's like you're not going to react to it. So I feel
Yeah.
like that's always sits well with the public and, the clients too. Yeah. Patients.
So we'll keep both just for different
Yes.
reasons. What about the glass skin aesthetic? What do you keep or
I
can?
I do I love the idea, the original idea. So keep. I do love the original idea behind it because it's all about like hydrated skin, that kind of reflects light. But I think though the what it's not. Some people may take it as like, oh, I have to have perfect skin, and that's what I don't
Yeah.
like. But I do like the intention behind that glass skin aesthetic, though. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the look. I think,
Yeah.
people always tell me I'm so shiny, but I kind of love it.
I
Yeah.
mean, is it from the like yeah no me too. I know like a lot of times they're like your face is you're glowing. I'm like it's probably my Asian sunscreen.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's great. And
Yeah.
when I'm especially like in Shanghai, I was just like super impressed. Everyone's like skin was glowing. I was like, this is
Yeah.
amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
How do you feel? The next one up is exosomes. I know we talk a lot about
I
exosomes.
know. I feel like kind of like with the salmon sperm like story, I want to keep, but I want to see more, data. I know it's super hot right now. I personally don't have exosome in my practice right now. Do you use exosomes? And
Yeah, I mean, again, like the FDA still hasn't approved it for
yeah,
injectable use,
yeah,
and I just don't feel like the topicals do enough, and I haven't seen anyone really hit me hard with like great data and great sourcing.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
eager for a company to really take like a deep
Really,
dive into
yeah.
sourcing and you know,
Sourcing,
I-
yeah. So the only one, and this is from anecdotal from France, is like the one from Plated from Mayo Clinic. They take platelets, and my friend just reports like her skin just feels so good afterwards. But like, is it better than like another hydrating serum? Who knows? But I think yeah, I want to see more. Yeah,
yeah.
is it better? Yeah.
What about jelly cleansers? I feel like we've seen those on the rise now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to cancel anything, but I feel
I
like
know.
they're fun. But is it like I don't know. I think they're just fun to use. I don't know.
What about slugging? Would you keep or cancel
Slug.
slugging?
Yeah, I want to keep slugging, especially in the winter time
Yeah.
for some nights of the week if I really need it. Yeah.
What do you use for slugging? Because I know online people are using like petrolatum or something like
Yeah.
that.
So, the most common one I use is actually CeraVe healing ointment. And because I really like the texture in the sense like it's not super thick. I will occasionally use petrolatum like 100%, but to me, I feel like that's too greasy. The ointment, so between Aquaphor, like CeraVe and other ointments, I just find the texture of CeraVe to be a little bit lighter. And that's just what I personally prefer. Yeah.
Skin booster injectables. I know we have one on the market here,
Yeah.
Skin
Yes.
Vive by Allergan, but there's so
Mm-hmm.
many
So
abroad.
many.
Are you using
Yes.
them?
I'm bringing them in my practice, but not currently. I definitely had multiple rounds of skin boosters myself when I was in China. I do love kind of that instant glow and hydration. It's just I'm not in Asia enough to get it regularly. And they have blends of collagen with even like polyalactic acid, various different forms that are made in China that are you can do it as a skin booster format. I love it. I just wish we
Yeah.
had more options here.
Yeah, I actually, especially for the younger patient, I think these skin boosters just hydrate so well for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not
Mm-hmm.
adding
Yeah.
volume, which is great. They
Yeah.
don't need
Yeah. Which
volume.
is
They
really
just need like
nice.
that
Yeah. So keep
hydration.
for sure.
Microbiome skincare. Where do you fall on that?
I I feel like that's really important. Now, are you referring to like a skincare just developed for like so because I feel like a lot of products now will have like pre and postbiotic ingredients, and I'm
Yeah.
all for that. I think the microbiome, like, it's really important, and we're learning more and more about its importance for skin health. But like, I don't know if you necessarily need to like have like dedicated products in the sense like it's like I don't know. I mean, I guess ultimately keep because I like the idea that the message that it's driving, and I do love certain brands like Aven, La Roche Posay that have things that are formulated to help support the skin microbiome. I'm gonna ask Dr. Rossi some questions now. Pick your
Oh.
brains on things that you would choose and like between trends. Okay, so oh my god, these are kind of hard.
I
I
know.
don't even know how
I'm
I would
worried
answer
about what
them.
you're going to
Okay.
say.
All right, here we go. Retinoids or peptides?
Oh, wow. Don't make me choose.
I know.
I mean, I'm a strong believer in peptides just because of how functional they can be and
Yeah.
how gentle they can also be, especially for sensitive skin. I do
Mm-hmm.
love me a retinoid, but it
I
makes my
know.
eczema go wild.
Okay, that's a good choice. I think I probably would. I don't know. It's hard. Yeah, I know peptides, they do have a lot of great options. And they do help support collagen, help with skin rejuvenation
Yeah.
too. Okay, PRP or PRF?
Ooh.
Hmm.
Um, PRP, I think is just more versatile. I use it, for
Mm-hmm.
hair, for skin. So I'll
Yeah.
go with PRP, but PRF in certain areas, like under
Yeah.
the eyes, is helpful.
I.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but PRP, I think, is just more versatile.
Yeah. Do you have other areas that you like PRF aside from under eye? Because that's like where
I
most people use PRF.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there it's like because the skin is so thin and we have so much
Yeah.
vasculature and
Yeah.
people are prone to dark circles, whether it's from
Right.
hyperpigmentation or just from
Yeah.
ethnicity. It does support that area quite well, and the
Mm-hmm.
PRF just
Mm-hmm.
seems to hang around a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
than the PRP, which is more liquidy.
Right.
But
Right.
um,
Yeah.
I love PRP. I use it for hair
Yeah. Yeah, it
regularly.
works really well. Yeah, and I
Yeah,
after microneedling, it really makes like healing much faster, and I feel like it
yeah.
does make a difference with the procedures. Okay, barrier repair or exfoliation?
Ooh, you know, I like you. I'm all about the barrier, and I want to keep it intact.
Yeah.
Gentle exfoliation, super helpful, but you
Yeah.
know, barrier repair is tried and
Repair.
true.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's the most important thing. Okay, three-step or multi-step layering?
I'm a less is more person, so 3-step for me.
Yeah, the bare minimum, I agree. I agree, especially
When
if
I'm
you're like eczema prone and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, when I'm feeling
Yeah.
myself, I'll go multi-step, but
Yeah. When you're pampering. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, Korean essence or American serums?
Korean essence all the way.
Korean made, but available in the US.
Yeah,
Dr.
exactly.
Rossi. There we
Exactly.
go. That's my pick. Okay. Ingredient lists or results?
Um, Ooh, that's hard. I think form follows function. So ingredient lists, if you have a great ingredient list, like you'll
Yeah.
probably get good results. So
Yeah.
I think you got to start with a really clean, good ingredient
Yeah.
base.
Agree. Agree. Okay. Lastly, mineral or hybrid or chemical sunscreen?
I developed the mineral sunscreen.
Hmm.
I love the minerals. I think they block UVA, UVB well.
Yeah.
And I also get irritated by a lot of the chemical
Hmm.
filters, just from like playing sports and such. But
Yeah.
I do tell my patients, whatever sunscreen you use the most is the best because we want you to be protected. But I always
Yeah.
choose mineral.
Yeah. Yeah, I do love a good mineral sunscreen, especially when I'm like really sensitive. But something about the Asian sunscreens, even like the hybrid or chemical formulations, I haven't had too many issues with it. Must be the way they like make it or the filters. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's the one thing I
Well, I
really
think
do love
those
about. Yeah.
those filters eventually will trickle into the US
Yeah,
eventually.
yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, and it sounds
But
like maybe next year there's another one that there is one that's going to be approved finally. I
yeah,
think that's what I read. So, yeah.
which is good because I think it'll replace like the avobenzone and the
Hmm.
oxybenzone that's here. And
Yeah.
those can be
Yeah.
like very sensitizing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, good choices. Hard choices, but
So,
well
my
done.
last question for you is this
Yeah.
show is called Give Good Face. And so, what does it mean to Dr. Jenny Liu to give good face?
Oh my gosh. I think it's more about doing things for you that make sense for your skin, so you feel confident. And not like chasing trends or what other people are doing. And you definitely don't need to be doing something just because everybody else is talking about it, but like what makes sense for you, and making
I
you
love that.
feel comfortable and confident. Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
we're all so different, like culturally, are like even like we didn't take a deep dive, but maybe next episode if I can come
Yeah.
back on. But like in Asia, like the trends of like who seeks cosmetic treatments, the type that's being done is like 180 like different, like it's so different degrees different than the trend here. And so I think it's like, and culturally that makes a big difference, and so I think it's just you got to do what makes sense for you, what helps you feel good. Yeah.
I love that. That's a
Yeah.
great note. But thank you, Dr. Liu, so much. And yeah, we do need a part two because I feel like you're such a wealth of information, and
Well,
I just
thank
love how you're
you.
educating not only our local community in the U.S. but abroad in China and around the world. I mean, you're doing the most on Instagram and Red Note. So I encourage everyone to follow you. I mean,
Thank
I'm
you
sure
so
they already
much.
follow you already. So,
Well,
but
it's such
thank
an
you for
honor to be
bringing,
on this show.
yeah. No. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and join us as we explore beauty, confidence, and the art of showing up like only Give Good Face can.